Hey guys, and welcome back. This is beautiful Tirana, Albania, back in the capital. I'm just staying here for a couple days now while I'm catching my flight to my next country in a few days, so I decided to come to the capital. Makes sense because the airport is nearby here. So I thought I've been here long enough so I could kind of share and make a pros and cons of living in Albania video, because I think that'll help a lot of people better understand what is great about this country and what is not so great about this country. So I'm in Tirana Park right now. I'm gonna film this video just kind of walking around the city and share with you basically what I feel are the pros and cons. Obviously this is very subjective. What you might think is not so bad on my con list, you know, so it's going to be different for everyone. And I will just tell you straight away here to the people of Albania, I love your country, I love this country, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but there's just a learning curve involved with someone that's coming from the United States to visit here. So some of those cons kind of come into play then. So that's kind of what I'm going to be discussing in this video, as far as some of the things that I'm just not used to and that I really didn't like about living here. But with that said, I will say that the good definitely outweighs the bad in Albania. So we'll start with the cons. Let's just I have my whole list written down on my phone here. So one con that I can think of right away is that there's no major big box stores here, and it's really not a big deal. So like in the United States, you're used to shopping at these big box stores, Walmarts, I'm sure everybody's heard of them. Anything you need is basically in a big box store. Here they do have those stores, but they're just not the names that you're used to. So it's kind of a learning curve involved in where to go to get certain items. So they don't have like major brands here, which I'm not a major brand type of person, so you won't find any Starbucks in Albania, but that could go along with a positive thing where you should try certain cafes. But if you're the type of person that really likes big American coffees like Starbucks and cheap goods like at Walmart, that's something that you're not going to find here in Albania. Okay, so another con on my list here is going to be the drivers in Albania. If you live in Albania, or if you're in Albania, I'm speaking to you because you're all crazy drivers. You get to places very, very quickly. You can get to a place that's an hour away in like a half hour. So you're very crazy and you like to use your horns. So if you're walking on the street, people are gonna honk their horns at you. It's just one of those things that go along. At first when I was here, I thought, well, why is everybody honking their horns at me? Am I doing something wrong? That's not the case at all. What really it's about is warnings. So if you're walking on the street or biking on the street, cars are just honking their horns at you just to let you know that they're there. So you're not necessarily doing anything wrong, and it's good that they let you know that you're there, that they're there, is because they're probably going about 100 miles an hour. So the drivers here in Albania are a bit crazy. Once again, some drivers might err on the side of caution and drive a little bit more safe, but in my experience here, from the cab drivers to the friends that I met to even like buses and things like that, they go faster than what you're used to, probably faster than the speed limit. So the drivers here are kind of a little bit crazy. Okay, so the third one on my list, and there's 5. I have 5 cons, and to just prove that I like it more than I dislike it, I have 6 pros and 5 cons. So the dislikes, the third dislike for me, which isn't a huge deal, but just someone who travels, it's kind of an issue for me, and that's the power outages. Now, it doesn't happen so much in developing places, neighborhoods. So when I first lived here, I moved to Duras, and in the wintertime, if it just rained a little bit, the power would go out. And this happened a lot while I was working. And so obviously the power goes out, the internet goes out, so you're not able to work. So it's a bit frustrating. However, it's still a developing country. So when I moved to Vlora, I lived in an Airbnb that was in a developing neighborhood. So there was constantly power outages because they were updating things. So power has been just a constant struggle with me here in Albania, whether it's going off on purpose due to shutting it off and upgrading the system, or due to just raining hard, a lot of wind, the power will go out. But I got by. I've been here 7 months, and I definitely got by working. Some days were more frustrating than others, but it's definitely something you should know, that there's more power outages than what you might be used to in a more developed country. And I can only speak for people that, you know, for me specifically living in the United States, where power outages don't happen very often, and if they do, you get a warning from the power company that says, you know, we're going to shut off the power at this time. Obviously there's things in the US that you can't control it if a storm comes through and knocks down power lines, but it doesn't happen very often in the United States as far as power going out. Here it's quite frequently. In the winter time, like I said, it probably went out 4 or 5 times a week, and sometimes it's only for 5 minutes, sometimes it was for an hour or 2. So it's just something to keep in mind. You have to plan your life around it in a way, but it's all part of just living in Albania. So power outages, that would be my third con or dislike here in Albania. Okay, so I thought I'd stop and take a rest, because like every single one of my videos here since summer started in Albania, it is so hot out today. I usually film my videos, my fault, in the middle of the day. But so I'm just relaxing right here, which is going to bring me to the next con, or the next disadvantage here, what I feel about living here. And it kind of goes along with power outages, but I'm gonna say it's internet speeds. So if you're just looking to like surf the web or something, download speed is really quick. You can get places that, you know, 50 megabytes per second. That's where I was at in Vlora. But upload speeds, no matter where I've been, have just been atrocious. Horrible internet speeds, and it comes and goes. Sometimes you'll have a really good signal, sometimes you'll have a really bad signal, and that goes with upload and download. So it's just one thing to kind of get used to. If you're living a lifestyle where you just kind of get a consistent internet speed, that's not going to happen here. Sometimes you'll get like 50 megabytes per second, and then boom, it'll just jump down to you get like 5 megabytes download per second. So the internet speed isn't consistent here. I've managed, most of my job requires like video calls, so I need upload and download, and I've managed the whole 7 months that I've been here. It's just one of those things like power outages where you just have to deal with it when it comes. If you're not getting good internet service, you just have to deal with it. It got frustrating at first, but after that it was just something that I got used to. And it's just, I think they could do better, and I'm sure in the future they will upgrade a little bit as far as better internet. So that would be my fourth con or disadvantage here of Albania. So I've been to Tirana a couple times now, and I actually did a video about what I liked about Tirana, and in that video I mentioned that it's a very walkable city. Well, I've never been to this part of Tirana. It's the southern part of the city, where the lake is here. They got the park, but I've never been here, and there's a nice like running track and biking track and walking track, and there's a train that drives around here, so it just goes to show that it is a very walkable city. And so it's a very walkable city. I'm sorry I got cut off there. So I just wanted to kind of say something good before my last con here. In the con, everybody that lives here is going to know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm not even ashamed to bring this up. It's the litter here. There is a lot of litter here. I live mainly in coastal cities. Durrës had a lot of litter on the beaches, in the sea. Vlora had a lot of litter in the sea. You're talking plastic bags, things. Just the beach is filled with litter. Some people do a very good job and they clean up after themselves. I tried cleaning up when I was at the sea as much as possible. But one thing that I didn't really like is the fact that the culture here just seems to, like, you know, open up a cigarette pack and just kind of throw the cellophane on the ground. I've seen people drink like milk or yogurt drinks and finish it and just throw it on the ground. So it's nothing for people to litter here. They don't even think about it. Maybe it's just ingrained in your DNA where you just think it's okay, but it's not okay. When I was in Saranda, that was probably the best city I was at as far as they had like an initiative to like recycle. So the litter here, I think they can do a much better job. See, here in Tirana, it seems to be much better. I don't know if they cut down on things, crack down on things as far as you know, giving people fines or whatever, but I think all of Albania, from where I've been in a lot of cities, and I've been to 6 different cities, there's been garbage on the ground and a lot of litter. So I think Albania could do a lot better than what they're doing right now. But with that said, those are all my cons, and I really had to think deep about a con list because I wanted to do like a pro and con video, and I really had to think about some cons. So once again, I'm not dogging on Albania because no country is perfect. When it comes to the United States, my con list or my disadvantages of living there would be a much bigger list than what they are here in Albania. But, you know, like I said, no country is perfect. So I just wanted to give some people who've never been here an idea of what the disadvantage is to living or visiting in Albania would be. So now onto the pro list. So we're just gonna keep walking around the lake here. So a lot of my images are going to be of the lake here in Tirana because I'm walking this entire loop. As I said earlier, there's a track that I believe loops all the way around this lake and goes into the park over there, and I'm going to find out if that's true or not. So I have no idea where this trail is actually going to lead, but from what I understand, it's kind of an exercise type trail, so I'm anticipating that it's gonna go all around the lake. So let's start the pro list because there are so many pros to living and visiting Albania, and I had to cut it down, so I could only find 5 cons, and I had to stretch it out to find those, but I found 6 and I broke it down to 6. So the first thing I'll say about a pro in Albania is public transportation. You can get around every city that I've been in. You can get around so easy, and it's so cheap. When I lived in Durrës, I used public transportation almost daily. You can get a ride on the metro bus, I think 40 cents, and it'll bring you wherever you want to go until you get off. And then once you get back on, it's another 40 cents. So to go on the complete opposite side of the city, which would be, let's just say 10 miles for 40 cents. That's nothing. So you can get around the city, any city. Like I said, it's not just Durrës, it's not just Tirana, it's every city that I've been to. you can get around, and not just get around conveniently, but get around cheap. And it's so easy to figure out the bus stops in the public transportation in general. And I'm not just talking about like inner cities, like going inside of the city, also from city to city, because I had to go from Durrës to Vlora when I moved. So I took a bus, and then they drop you off at a certain point, you get on another bus. So the public transportation here is very cheap. Just to give you another idea of how cheap it is the bus that I took from Durrës to Vlora. It's roughly around a 2-hour drive, and it cost me $4, $5 I believe, $4 or $5, something like that, for a 2-hour drive. So that's really good. So that's definitely one of the huge advantages here. Now in Vlora, I bought a bike just because the bus route wasn't very close to my neighborhood. But I did use public transportation once I was in the city, going from one end of the Lungomare to the other. So yeah, public transportation, it's a huge advantage of living in Albania. And if you're here either visiting or you decide to move here, take advantage of the public transportation because it's so cheap. Okay, the next pro or advantage of being here, and this one's a bit controversial, and I didn't think it was so controversial until I actually got to this hostel in Tirana, because it's very subjective of what people actually think of this pro or not. I find it to be quite nice, but some people don't. And that's the beaches. I think the beaches here are beautiful. The whole, what they call the Albanian Riviera, I think it's gorgeous, and there's a lot to offer. Now there's a lot of places in the Albania Riviera that I have not been to. I've been to Durrës and Vlora, Saranda. I believe Vlora has the best beaches, but that doesn't mean other places don't have nicer beaches. You get the scenic overlook of the mountains and islands from the sea. And even though, like I said before with the litter, there's still beautiful beaches, crystal clear water, got that aqua and turquoise look to them. So definitely, if you're going to visit here, visit the beaches and definitely have a beach day. Okay, like I mentioned, these pros and cons lists are very subjective. And that goes with the next pro as well. It's a very subjective topic. And so I can only speak from me living in the northern part of the United States. And so the next pro for me is going to be the weather. It's a Mediterranean climate here. So in the summer, it's really hot, depending on where you go to. Obviously, Tirana is more inland. Most of the cities that I lived in have been on the coast, so they've been a lot more humid. But beautiful weather, 300 days of sunshine a year here in Albania. So if you can get by with the humid weather, which I'm used to coming from the northern part of the United States, and granted, I don't think that humidity is something that everybody gets used to, but the weather is gorgeous. It makes you want to spend the day on the beach, you know, go swimming in the sea. So the beaches and the weather, those can go hand in hand, but the weather is beautiful, and not just in the summer. So when I came here, I came in the middle of January, so the heart of the winter time, and when I was living in Durrës, and then I traveled into Tirana during the winter time as well. But the winters are not harsh here at all, and that's why I was kind of saying it's a bit subjective, is because I'm used to very, very cold winters in the northern part of the United States. Lakes freeze over, it snows a lot. Here, it gets to about 30, 40 degrees, you know, so I think the coldest it got for me this year was around 35 degrees, so it didn't even reach freezing. And it got close one day, and there was warnings all over, you know, like stock up on water in case the water pipes break. So it's not something they're used to as far as is getting freezing cold weather. So 40 degrees, 50 degrees, 45, that's kind of average winter temperatures. And so some people coming from warmer climates might think, well, that's still really cold, Rob. What are you talking about? To me, No, if I can tolerate winters like that every single year for the rest of my life, I would be completely happy. So winters in Albania are beautiful weather. You get beautiful weather, and I know some Albanians won't agree with me because they think it just gets cold. And it's almost September right now, and it's not hot and humid, and I know some Albanians that are starting to wear pants instead of shorts and sweatshirts instead of t-shirts, and they think it's starting to get cold out. Me, no, I'm still in my shorts and t-shirt because I think the weather is beautiful. I mean, it's perfect like this. So the weather is a huge advantage for me to stay and live here in Albania. And not only that, but to visit. You can visit all year around and get nice temperatures, especially if you come in the winter and you're from a cold country. You're going to be surprised at how nice it is. Threatened by any of the people here, I don't think I've never felt unsafe. I've never had that feeling, just that intuition feeling of feeling uncomfortable or unsettled in a place. So you just feel safe when you're here. Now, other people might have different experiences than I do, but I've been here, 7 months so far, and in that 7 months, a handful of cities, not one city have I ever felt unsafe in. It's a very safe country, and I believe if you look at the numbers, you'll realize that the safety here is very good. They have a very low crime rate, especially against tourists. So if you're visiting or if you decide to move to Albania, just keep in mind that it's a very safe country, and you can definitely trust people, but always be smart. It's just like in your home country. People might try taking advantage of you. I'm not saying it's just like you're living in this magical wonderland where bad things can't happen to you. I'm just saying it's definitely safer here than what it is in the United States where I'm from. So I love the aspect of the safety here in Albania. Okay, so we're just gonna wrap up this video now. I got 2 more pros that I want to talk about, and I figure I'm gonna do it now while the sun's not beating down and it's beautiful weather and seeing a lot of wildlife here. So I'm glad I came to Tirana Park. So if you're ever in Tirana, make sure to stop at Tirana Park. It's a beautiful walkway all around the lake. It's especially on a day like today. It's breezy. I'm still sweating, I mean, because they got warm weather, that humid weather here, but it's very nice. You got a breeze going through. Nonetheless, on to my next advantage and pro of living in Albania is small businesses. If you're someone that really likes to support small businesses, you will love Albania. So this is kind of an argument against my con of saying that there's not the big box stores. I love the fact that I can go to a small market and buy fresh produce every single day. It's not the type of produce that you'd get in like a big supermarket in the United States. It's literally, they just bring it from a farm the day before. So the produce is fresh, but not just food. So if you wanted clothes, there's like outdoor markets that you can shop at. Secondhand stores, so if you don't want to buy brand new things. Everything is small businesses, and they're usually right next to each other, and competition is high, but competition is good. People, shop owners talking to each other, they're helping each other. There's like a camaraderie between the small business owners here. It's so cool to see, and I definitely like to support small businesses instead of giving my money to the major brands and the major businesses. So I really love the fact that Albania is so pro small business. And one thing you'll really notice if you ever visit here, decide to live, as far as small business goes, is the cafes. Cafes and bars, excuse me, are kind of one and the same. So when you visit these, I mean, there's, without even exaggerating, there's thousands. There are thousands of cafes, and they're all small businesses. Now you get some chains, but they're Albanian chains. So you'll see some chain cafes, the same cafe, and Durrës, Tirana, Vlora, so on and so forth. But from what I understand, they only exist right here in this country. So But even if you didn't want to do that and you wanted to go even further and support small business more than supporting these bigger brands, and that's why I do this. They're not a big brand, but they're more of a franchise, really, a local franchise. But you have other options. You can go to what we would call mom and pop type stores, cafes, and like I said, that goes with everything from food, restaurants, markets, grocery stores, whether you're looking to buy shirts, shoes, hats, anything. Everything that you buy, you can buy from a small business. And personally, I love that. I love that about traveling. I like to support as much small business as I can. So I think that's a huge advantage of Albania. And if you come here, definitely support the small businesses. And really, you don't have much of a choice because that's really all there is to offer. The last thing here that I just want to talk about, and this is not going to be any surprise, it seems a little cliche, like obviously you're just going to say that because you visited there, but honestly, I can't speak enough about the Albanian people. That's a huge advantage of visiting here. Some of the nicest people I've ever met. It's unbelievable. If you're in a bad situation, people will help you. If you get yourself lost, people will take you in. People will help you no matter what. And so the people here in Albania is just they're gonna always greet you with a smile. They're gonna do things for you. And so that's a tribute to you Albanian people. So I'm speaking to you. The time that I've been here, the 7.5 months, I've never been treated poorly by the people ever. So good job, Albania. And so I think I'm just gonna stop now. Oh, excuse me. So I don't want to overdo it with this talk of the people here, because I think it's one thing that you go to another country and you say, well, the people are great. Well, the people aren't great in every country. In the United States, not all the people are great. I love my country. I love the people in my country, but not everybody's nice. I moved to Mexico for a little while. A lot of great people that I've met in Mexico, but not everybody was nice. Here in Albania, I haven't met one rude person in 7 months. Not one person that has kind of shunned me or looked at me differently for being an American. So that says a lot, and it really means a lot. So if there's Albanian people watching this, good job and keep it up, because when you treat foreigners like that, they're going to keep coming back. And because sometimes foreigners are a little bit skeptical of interacting with the locals, because they're not sure if you are accepting locals, and if you only like them because you're spending money in their country. But that's not the feeling I've got in Albania. Albanians are truly good people with big hearts, and that's one thing I just want to speak again to the Albanian people if they're watching this, is just thank you so much for the hospitality and the kindness, because Albanian people are some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, and you won't be disappointed with the service here, and the smiles go a long way. So thank you for the friendliness, Albania. And that is the end here of my pro and con list. Advantages and disadvantages of living or visiting here in Albania. So it's been 7 months. It's been an awesome 7 months. I definitely will be coming back. I didn't get to visit a lot of the northern part of Albania, which I really want to see. So yeah, if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. And if you liked it, it helps a lot if you hit the like button and even subscribe if this is your first video. And thanks for everybody who watched today, and I hope you got something out of this. All right, take care, guys. Have a great day. Bye.